Welcome to the first ever episode of the Blush and Bloom podcast. So, I'm so excited to be saying this sentence right now and to tell you that I am a host of a new podcast and that I'm starting my own podcast. Since this is the first podcast episode, I think it's only appropriate for me to introduce myself. I am Lila. I am a 18-year-old student living in Switzerland. I would say of myself that I'm a very happy person. I always try to be positive, which is why I'm starting this podcast. I love to inspire people, I love to motivate people, and this is the exact goal of this. So, if you are trying to blush and bloom, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever life you live, when you're trying to become your best self and improve yourself and just achieve living your dream life, then I'm definitely here to support you, and there will definitely be an episode of this podcast that you will like. Maybe not yet because we're still recording the first ever episode, but we're getting there. So, I am very happy to have you here, and I'm so ready to just help you blush and bloom. Actually, let me tell you the story of how I started or decided to start this podcast, and also how I decided on the name Blush and Bloom. Basically, things started last year when I started listening to Fernanda Ramirez's podcast, who you might know. She is a YouTuber and she also does a lifestyle podcast that is called A Better You. And I was just listening to that, and I do not remember the exact episode, but she was just talking about just doing what you want and achieving your dream life. And I was like thinking to myself, her life is a dream. I want to live a life like hers. And I just love how she just does her things in this feminine way, motivating everyone, so happy, such a cute person, like a sweet person. And at that time, I had this Instagram account for UGC, user generated content. And that was when I decided, you know what? I might try becoming a content creator apart from UGC, like a, I don't know, kind of influencer type of vibe. So I was like, let's do this. And I started just posting on my Instagram apart from UGC content. I just started posting all types of content. And actually, it didn't go bad. And then I also decided I have always wanted to start a YouTube channel. I used to be that friend, or used used to also have those kind of friends where you just recorded YouTube videos for each other, like vlogs and everything, and we just send it to each other on a weekly basis. And I did that with so many of my friends, and I always loved it. It was always so fun. And like recording myself has always been like a kind of way to motivate myself, which is why I love making vlogs. And so the thing started with a podcast, and I was like, a podcast would be so freaking cool to do. But I was like, let's just start with YouTube videos. You can make those types of videos on YouTube without actually having a podcast. And fast forward, it's been about a year later. My first Instagram account, I had like almost 2,000 followers, which is not crazy, but it was something. It got banned. I still do not know why to this day. And then I just took a break, or just basically didn't post for a minute. And then I just decided I will make a new one. And now I have a new Instagram account. It's still a very small Instagram account. I have 700 followers, but I'm so glad and happy to have those 700 because we're going to grow. We are going to grow, and you are the OG first people on here, being the Lulu, or maybe not. If I'm gonna end up somewhere, you have been here to witness these words and see my first ever podcast episode. And so I thought to myself, Lila, you have 700 followers on Instagram, and you have about not even 100 on YouTube. And that was why I didn't want to start a podcast at first, but I have just been obsessed with listening to podcasts because they're just so motivating and inspiring, and I love to listen to them everywhere and anytime. When I get ready in the mornings for some morning motivation, when I'm in the bus going to school, coming home from school for the motivation to keep going at home, or especially at the gym where I'm just working on my health, working on my fitness, And while doing that, I'm just envisioning and having all these plans in my head while listening to other podcasters and thinking, like, I could do this, I could live their life. So why don't I? I might not be famous everywhere. I might not have 1,000 listeners right from the beginning, but we gotta get there somewhere, somehow. And it's definitely not gonna happen if I just don't start a podcast. That's not gonna change anything. I have to start from the bottom at some point. So I was like, just do this. There's no better way to grow than to just do this. And I'm just in general such a big believer or someone that like just loves to just start and just do things because I have realized this with my Instagram account. I was like, if I started this earlier, I would have grown more. I don't know, I would be at, I don't know, 2,000 followers by now. If I still had my old account, I would be at more than that by now. And also, before starting my YouTube channel, I was also hesitant for quite a long while, and I would just watch thousands and thousands and thousands of videos where it was like how to grow your YouTube channel, how to start a YouTube channel, how to do this and this and this. And I was so overwhelmed and I was like, okay, let me keep watching these videos, and then I will start. And then when I have a tripod, I will start, and then I will do this and this and this and this. And I didn't start, and I didn't, maybe I gained some knowledge, but I didn't actually earn something from it. I didn't receive my subscribers or likes or whatever from that because I just hadn't posted anything, and you can't expect something without doing something. Does that make sense? That's how I decided to start this podcast to just also just like you basically attain my dream life and become the best version of myself and motivate you. So I am so excited to start this and see where it goes. And I am not expecting this podcast to blow up and me becoming a full-time podcaster by tomorrow morning. Definitely not. But since time is going by and I am growing and I have this free time that I can use however I want, I'll just try and I'll just do it. And if there's nothing coming from it, then it's just a hobby. It's just something that I like, something that benefited me and hopefully you. Now, talking about you guys and this entire podcast, what it's supposed to do for you, I already mentioned. It's for you to blush and to bloom. We will be talking about pretty much everything on here. About when you're a woman, your femininity, how to be in your best feminine era, how to handle the seasons, like how to act during the seasons, maybe even some more niche content. Maybe sometimes we will do some book reviews, like a little book club, or some study sessions, study circles where I give you my best study tips. Anything related to lifestyle and health and becoming your best self, essentially. So there will be an episode for everyone up here, and you can come listen to this podcast here and there. I will be uploading an episode every week, hopefully. You can listen to it on YouTube, watch/listen to it with a video. You can also just listen to it on platforms like Spotify. So you can just listen to Blush and Bloom wherever you are, whatever you're doing, at the gym like me, when you're driving in your car, when you're washing the dishes, or maybe when you're just having a hot girl calming walk, whenever, wherever. And it is here to motivate you and to help you know that when you're struggling, things can get better. Things can always get better. You can always improve and work on yourself and achieve that dream you're dreaming if you really want to. And something that I have planned for this podcast that I personally think is super cool, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't do it, is I will try, or not try, but I will want to incorporate you guys into this podcast by having you share your opinions or maybe some advice to whatever subject we are talking about, because that way it's just more fun for you. I feel like it's more interactive. We get more perspectives from different people instead of just me, obviously. I mean, I'm the host of the podcast, yes, but podcasts are already very one-sided because I'm just talking, you're listening, maybe you can comment. But if we have this little thing where you can share your opinion, then I don't know, we just all get to hear a little more. We just get to have this more interactive type of vibe, type of podcast. And I feel like that can also be very fun for you to speak out and help with your experiences. And not just about the subject itself. I would also love if some of you just want to share random things, maybe some life story, life lesson you have learned, and we could do small story times that I would read your story times about whatever it is to just also help each other maybe, and when you're struggling to tell each other about this and just I don't know, just support each other and create this community, which I think is also the goal of this podcast, to just have these girls, women, whatever, to come to know we're all working on this together. We're all growing together, and there's someone that has my back and someone that I can talk to, which is also I'm here. I may not be your big sister, I may be more like your little sister, but I am here regardless. You can tell me anything and everything, and if you want me to tell it on the podcast, discuss it on the podcast, I would love to, because then more girlies can support you also. And for this episode, I also asked you about what you thought about just starting things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We already kind of talked about it when I told you that I just started doing this podcast without overthinking and waiting for things to happen that essentially are not going to happen, to be honest. So let me share the answers. Okay, I have my mom's phone here and I have the answers that you gave me on Instagram. I posted this like question poll on my story and asked you, what do you think about just starting things instead of being afraid to try? And I received some answers which made me very happy, because honestly, I wouldn't even have been shocked if I would have just received one answer from my sister. But we do have some things to discuss. So, the first person, Amanda, said, always rather be embarrassed than looking back and regret not trying. You're so right. I feel like this is something that many people say their biggest fear, or something that is just so bad, is regret, the feeling of regret. And that's true, because you can't do anything about it. You just have to sit there and regret things, and you can't change anything about it. But if you do, you do just start. And even if things don't work out, you will look back and think to yourself, I tried it. Something that I feel like I would think if I didn't do and try things is just thinking to myself, what would have happened if I would have tried? Would I be living a different life? Would I be, let's say I never started this podcast, never started my YouTube channel. I might have a great job. You know, I have a dream job apart from content creation. I do, and I'm ready to pursue this job. Like, I want to go to university and study psychology apart from if I become a content creator or not, just because it's something that I would love to do. But imagine I just study psychology, I become a therapist, which would also be my dream life. But what if I always look back and think, what if I had tried it? Would I live in my dream New York penthouse recording videos and podcasts? Or what would my life be like? Say I start doing this and I'm like, no, I want to live the life that I would live without being a content creator. I can still stop. And about the being embarrassed thing, talking about creating content, I know this can be about anything, starting anything. It could be about starting your business, starting working on your health, starting, I don't know, studying, going to uni, starting some kind of course, maybe starting a new life by moving, by doing whatever. But the embarrassed thing that Amanda said, it fits more the content creation. So maybe at first you will feel kind of weird. You're not used to sitting in front of a camera talking into a makeshift stand. But after a while, I feel like you're gonna get used to it and it's gonna get fun, and you're gonna see maybe results. You're gonna see comments, you're gonna see people commenting, and then the embarrassment, it will fade. You will get used to it, and I feel like on the long run, it's not the feeling of embarrassment that will be like the big feeling, let's say. It's gonna be the feeling of achievement. you're gonna feel proud, you're gonna feel like you just did that and you were bold. And I think that that's the important thing. There was this like small trend recently where I saw some videos where it was like what people think is embarrassing. And it was like people recording themselves and creating content. And then what is actually embarrassing. And then it's someone leaving a hate comment. So actually, someone judging, say you're afraid of someone judging you, that's more embarrassing than you trying. I once heard this like quote or saying that I will never forget, and that it's that you should not listen to anyone that is not on the same path as you because they can't relate, they're not going the same path. And someone that is going the same path and living through the same journey, they will never judge you, which is true. Think about, let's say, building your business. You are trying to build a business, start selling, I don't know, pottery, clay pieces. If someone is judging you, someone that works in retail, for example, do not listen to them because they're living an entirely different life. Have nothing to do with clay and pottery. They don't know what it's like to start your own business. They have no idea. So why would you listen to them? And then someone that is also trying to start a business, maybe not the same, they know the struggles, they know what it's like. They also have this desire and dream and this vision. So they will not judge you. They will support you for also trying to do your thing. That's just something to always remember when someone is trying to talk bad about you or you're feeling embarrassed. There is no need to be embarrassed as long as you're not doing anything bad. Why would you be embarrassed for starting a business? That's positive. You're working on yourself, you're believing on yourself, creating content, you're using your free time differently by creating something, being creative. I have to admit, I am a person, I blocked everyone I know on my Instagram. I did. Well, not everyone I know, but from my school, like my classmates, there are like six that know about my account. These are my best friends, and not more from school. They don't need to see that. There are some girls where I feel like maybe my content would they would relate to that. I would unblock them. But whatever. What I wanted to say is when you're afraid of being embarrassed of a certain person seeing your things or a certain group, then you can just block them and still just start. You can get rid maybe of that one thing holding you back if you really want to do it. And if at some point someone will find my account because I didn't block them and they come up to me and say, "Hey, Lila, you're doing this and this and this." Yeah, I am. I don't know. I am. One friend of mine, I recently told her about it, and then she was like, "Yesterday I watched your new video." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she was like, "I loved it. It was such a cool video." And I was like, "Oh, that's cute." Like, maybe they are not even going to react the way you think they will. Okay, Ness said, just start. Everything else you will figure out. And this is just the thing that I'm always saying, Ness. You get me, Ness. As I said earlier about the preparing part, you can prepare a lot, but it will not help you when you're not starting. Like, I can do all of my research about doing this one experiment, this one biology experiment to find the cure for cancer, just an example. I could be doing all this research on cancer, what it is, like chemically, biologically, how you find it, how you treat it, how you do this and this and this. It's not going to help me as long as I'm not standing in there and actually doing the act of creating the cure. That's not gonna bring you anything. No, no, just start. I don't know how to explain this. You're gonna learn, you're gonna practice, you're gonna grow, then you will be so proud and so glad and so happy that you have started this thing and that you are in there, and things can only get better. Things are probably gonna get better or stay as they are. There's nothing to lose when you're starting from scratch. We always say these cliched sayings, learning by doing, practice makes perfect. One that I love, start now, perfect later. I know they may sound corny and cheesy, but why are we saying these things? Because it's true. Because we will become perfect at something by practice. We will learn by doing something, and also start now, perfect later. I love this. Because just start now and you will perfect later. There's nothing to perfect as long as you don't start, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. Someone said, it sounds so easy, but it's so difficult to implement. Sometimes the fear is so big. Honestly, I love that there is a comment that isn't like start, 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 but something or a comment that also shows the other side of it. I might not be the perfect person to 100% relate to this, but that scary feeling is probably what is holding you back in the first place. And it can be feeling like such a big thing, such a big deal when you're thinking about it, even though to others, maybe it's not. Let's say you see me starting a podcast. You're like, okay, cool, nice. You guys starting a podcast. I will go listen to it, or maybe not. And for me, it's like a big thing. It's like, wow, I'm recording my podcast. I'm doing this thing. I'm putting myself out there. I'm dreaming of all that can be with this. But for others, it might not be such a big deal, which is, I think, often a problem when we're just so in our mind and so scared is always that something feels so big. The fear can also be big. When you are afraid of things, think about why am I afraid? Of course, you might not find the answer to it right away. You're just afraid. It just feels like a scary thing. But maybe you will figure out why. You will figure out what is blocking you. Like, what's the problem? And how can I solve it? How can I change it? Say you're embarrassed about whatever it is you're doing. What do you have to lose? Your dignity? Not really. You're just embarrassed for a minute. I feel like planning can be a really big help so that the task doesn't feel as overwhelming. But while you're planning, you don't have that pressure or don't put that pressure on you of I'm gonna act on it now. I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna do that and that and that, and that. But maybe write down your ideas. You have some ideas, you know where to start. And when you actually are ready to do that thing, then you have a plan. Let me try and explain this at an example. Say you want to host an event and you're very scared that people are not gonna like it, that no one is gonna come. It just seems like such a crazy thing. You have never hosted an event before in your life. So sit down and plan that event. What are we doing? What kind of event is it? Who am I inviting? What's the program for the evening? Food, is there going to be food? What kind of food? What is just the overall vibe going to be like? So you write that down, you plan everything, maybe even write down your speech. You can plan it as detailed as you want, and then you'll be like, okay, now I have a plan, it doesn't seem that unrealistic. I actually have an idea how to do this. Then you can host that event. If people didn't like it as much, I don't think anyone is going to come up to you and say, I hated this event. I want my 2 hours of my life back. Why did I come? No one is going to tell you that. And I think most people are going to be excited. They're going to tell you that was so cool. I loved what you did. I love this new thing. I would love to come to a new event. And then you will know succeeded. And if people maybe are not that convinced, they still had maybe a decent time at your event. They still made this experience. Guys, let me tell you something. I yapped and I yapped and I yapped. And I finished this episode and then I see that it just stopped in the middle of the episode because I didn't have any storage anymore. So let's just continue where this video stopped. So, what I wanted to say is that then you have at least stilled the urge inside you to host that event and you have tried it at least once. Maybe you will find out it's not the thing for me, or you can just ask the people, what could I do better next time? And they can give you feedback and you can just perfect yourself and become the best at hosting events. And that applies to just everything. And I just always try to tell myself that it's not such a big deal. And that's not to downplay my feelings, and I'm not telling you to downplay your feelings. And maybe saying it's not that deep will not help you. But for me, it just helps me see that even if this thing does not work out the way I planned it to be, it's not the end of the world. I can still be grateful for all the lessons I learned through that, all the experiences I made, all the fun I had. Life is just all about trial and error. And I think, like, maybe I don't like to see it as an error because okay, maybe I failed at achieving it the way I wanted it to achieve, but it was not for nothing. It was not an error itself because I learned something and I had this experience. And if I wouldn't have done it, then I would have regretted it. Sometimes they're just not the perfect way out, and that's just how life works. Then she added, but I love when girls have this ability to just start without giving their fears too much power. I think I am someone that kind of has this. Just with this podcast, my setup honestly consists of a broken tripod, to be honest, that I was able to fix somehow, and this other phone tripod where I just glued my microphone on there. Even if I didn't have a microphone, I would have started this podcast. I don't have an actual camera. I started this podcast. I just came into this random nook in the room of my parents. I decided this is going to be my podcast corner where I'm going to be doing my podcast episodes and uploading them from my phone without any professional help. And I think that you can also become that person that just starts starting things with maybe the right mindset. And fear is something that cannot be forgotten over a day. Fear is not something that I cannot dissolve your fear with a 5-minute pep talk. That's probably not going to happen, but I hope I can kind of take just small bits and pieces away of that big fear and help you see the bigger picture. I always think to myself, what is the worst thing that can happen? And usually, of course, you can always say the worst thing is that I die because of this. But I mean, realistically, or with a high probability, what's the worst thing that can happen? You can always stop doing that thing. So that's just what I have to say to that. And then Lana said, honestly, you'll never fully be prepared or have the knowledge equipped. You will learn as you go, which is what we talked about earlier. Yes, you cannot be fully equipped. No matter what it is, you will always figure out new things. You will always learn more things and find more things. Like, there is no science out there that is fully finished, fully figured out, fully where someone has the full knowledge. You can think about the biggest invention, even the person that invented that thing, they don't have infinite knowledge about that thing. They will figure out about that thing. And especially without doing something, you cannot equip that knowledge. Like, I could be telling you about a story or about a situation from start to finish, the most detailed story you have ever heard, but you will not be able to relate to it if you haven't experienced it. And even if you have, every experience is different. So you will just have to learn as you go. Sadly, we can't just learn about something and then know everything and never make mistakes. That's not how life goes. It's not how life goes, and it's not how projects go. So, thank you a lot for your comments. I think they were very insightful. I loved what you had to say about this, and we'll be doing this for every podcast episode, as I told you before, where you will be able to go to my Instagram and I will do polls about the subject and ask you about your opinion, and you will be able to say whatever you want about that thing, your honest, true opinion, or whatever you want to share. And I'm also going to try and make some kind of group chat for all the girls that want to join the Blush and Bloom group chat where we can hype each other up, talk to each other, share things. And also, you can comment on this video or podcast episode if you have anything to add, if you have anything to say. Also, if you have watched that far, let me know because I have also just started and I'm also in the process of perfecting things. So I would love to have your feedback to see how I can start this. And even if it just has one watcher, I will still be so proud and excited for having done that, for having taken that step. And now that the episode is coming to an end, I can say that it has been so fun and I'm so excited. And doing the big step was not that hard. It was actually pretty cool. Maybe I motivated you to just start whatever you have been thinking about starting. And if you want some advice on that, some tips on that, let me know and I will definitely make an episode. Whatever it is, you can do it. I believe in you and reach out to me if you need some advice. And I am very excited and looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Blush and Bloom and just in general, see you every week and hear of you. Bye. Have fun blooming.